Hello everybody and welcome to the Gelleråsen race day here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, part of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy series in 2024. We're at the final round with three drivers still in with a chance of being crowned champion at the end of the day. Our championship leader Henrik Lindhoff already knows that he won't be here today, and so he knows how many points he'll score, and he knows what Edwin Forsund and Oliver Hagström figures you have to do to take over them and be champions themselves at the end of this evening. Another couple of races to round out our season, and here on RaceSpotTV with myself, Ian O'Leary, and Cameron Roger along with you again. It's good to be back, Cam, for the final round of the season. We know exactly what's ahead of us. It's the final race of the season here at Indianapolis, with a lot of permutations and possible outcomes at the end of the evening.
Yeah, these drop scores are doing us this evening, but we will do our best to keep you updated. But it is going to be a bit of a long run, but let's see how we go. Of course, we've had a long season already to get to this stage. We've had the oval race at this very venue, but we return for the road course, and this is how we stand coming into it.
Yeah, Henrik Lindhoff has a 365 points, but that will become 388. We already know that. Edwin Forsund, as a result, will be 83 behind, and Oliver Hagström figures he will be 98 behind, for your information. But anyway, those are the three that can win the championship. Behind, there's actually quite a good battle for fourth, I should say. Robin Östlund is not that far ahead of Albin Manson and Daniel Holmer. Jesper Eriksson's been a very quick driver all season long, but he hasn't quite had the consistency, hasn't been here at every round either. He's 7th ahead of Mikael Sundström and Marcus Hagman, who joined the top 10 with his result at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago, or the Interlagos, I should say, 2 weeks ago. Then Oscar Fredriksson, who rounds out the top 10, 179 points behind in the 10th position. So that's how we stand going in to this round of the championship. It's not very far behind Jock Frist and the likes of Oliver Bohlin as well from breaking into the top 10. That'll be a fight to watch as well. We've got about 25 or so, 26 in the session at the moment. They're just getting the qualifying session underway at the moment, because Sundström looks like he's having a good session again, and this is what we've seen in the past few weeks from him very often indeed. It's his race pace, to be honest, that I would be more concerned about.
Yeah, and some of these strategy choices potentially for this nearly on-pace team, but they had, it was even a front row lockout last time, so they've got some speed there, they know what they are doing, and they just need to try and find a way to turn that into a race victory. It's been the Sim Race Sweden cars that have been so fast all season, and so far we have 3 of them there on the second and third row. Manson, Syndrome's teammate, rounding out that top 5. Got a bit of a spin there though. That is Forsund. He's of course going for the championship. Really needs to at least be on the podium in this first race, if not getting a win, to try and chase down those points.
Well, that was the sort of realistic thinking. If you want the mathematical thinking, he needs 6th place or better to stay in the game for race 2. So there are the permutations, but you're probably right. Realistically, Forsund would need a podium to have a chance. He needs to score 84 points or more tonight to take a title. To give you some context, the maximum you can score in one evening is 113. The race winning value is 50, so that gives you an idea. As Oliver Hagström, big as you, has a spin through the final corner. He's 8th place currently in qualifying. He's just smashed his car up through there onto the front straight. He's clearly not enjoying this circuit maybe as much as he really needs to, because he does need a race win in this first race realistically to stay alive in the championship.
Oh, and Marcus Hagman also sliding around all over the place. Fixed setups for everyone. Wonder if that is a bit of a factor, or maybe the conditions just not getting the tyres in the right operating window. Olsen as well, sliding that rear end. So important in this car to be playing around and floating that rear end just enough to get the speed through the corners. As Olsen here currently sitting in 4th place, a quarter of a second. Such tight times up towards the front, half a second. Really being the top 8.
It is very close, but it's a pretty short circuit, which is kind of what you'd expect here from Indianapolis, really, when you think about this one. Down towards the back, we've still got a couple of drivers who haven't set a time yet. Hackenschott and Marcus Stiller are still without a time. Hackenschott is just making his way on lap 1 at the moment, so expect to see a time from him at some point, but doesn't look like Marcus Stiller is going to do one again. He will be starting from the back as usual. Alexander Olsen into the final couple of corners. I'm not sure he's really improving at the moment. We'll see, as he's currently in that 4th place. Jesper Eriksson is now his target, because Eriksson has just gone to the top with 11.3. What about Olsen? No, he's not going to be anywhere near that, so it's going to be 4th place still for now. Jesper Eriksson, though, very quick on that lap, and he's taken pole now by 0.2 of a second ahead of Mikael Sundström.
With how close the times are, that is a bit of a jump. Here comes Forsen out of the final corner. Of course, we came here for the Xfinity car not too long ago. A bit of a different final corner, easily flat in these cars now. Up towards the line, it's going to be a 4 flat. That's going to be 2nd place there for Forsen. Less than a 10th of Eriksson, and that is what he needs.
Of course, there's 1 point for pole position, so if Forsen could have got that, then that would have been ideal, but I'm not sure he's going to now with the amount of time remaining. Could be quite tricky, although he has made his way back out onto the circuit again, I think, maybe in hopes that he can get one more lap in here. Oliver Bohlin, meanwhile, out of the final corner in number 72. He's 7 tenths behind in 7th place, and will this be an improvement to move himself up? It certainly will. Move to 4th place there, will Oliver Bohlin. He's on the front 2 rows now, so even this deep into the session, lots of these drivers have still got time in the bank.
They certainly do, as there was Jakob Frisk in 12th place as it stands. We've got Solander here, a driver actually returning to the championship, the Alcantech cars in the last couple of weeks or so, getting back involved. He is in 11th place there, just jumping himself, just narrowly missing out on the top 10. Good to see those guys coming in both the oval and the road course series. Of course, just the final round. Let's see what points he can get today. There is Sundström in that 3rd place, but he's got enough time for this one final lap.
Out of turn number 2 into this really difficult braking zone at turn 3 and 4, and he's already missed the apex at 4. He knows that is that. You can't afford to miss the apex by that much and hope to beat Jesper Eriksson over the course of 1 lap, so he immediately pulls off. Oliver Bohlin is going again here, and he's going pretty quickly. Whether he's going to find the 5 tenths needed to overtake Jesper Eriksson, I'm not entirely convinced, but he might well be able to move himself up another position here ahead of Sundström, who has just given up the ghost now in his final lap of the day. It's not going to be much of an improvement, though, if at all, for Oliver Bohlin. He will stay in 4th place.
Yeah, just missing out by less than about 0.5 of a second, almost equaling his previous time. Here comes Vigiju. He needs to jump up, so is Austin into P6. What can Vigiju do? That is going to be a bit of an improvement. That's nicely for him up into P4, and that is a bit more like it. So both the championship contenders on the front 2 rows with 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, good news for Hagström, because as we've mentioned, he really does need to win this first race, probably. There is a world in which a 1st and a 2nd place is enough tonight, by the way, but he would need to get no incident points all evening long, which I think is going to be quite difficult personally. We'll see if he can do it, though, as Peter Helmbroek is now making his way through the final couple of corners. Quite a long way down compared to what you'd expect from Helmbroek, to be honest. In 21st, out of the final corner. He's going to run out of time even before he makes it at this rate, as the time ticks down. And there you go. I'm not sure it would have been much of an improvement, but anyway, we don't get the chance to find out. That is the end of the final qualifying session of the season then, and it's Jesper Eriksson who takes the pole position points. He will be looking at maximum, probably 4th place at the end of the championship this season, and so that might just help him on his way there. Edvin Forsen's alongside. He does need to be right up there and is on the front row early on. Mikael Sundström 3rd, alongside his teammate Oliver Hagström Vigezju with the nearly on pace teammates knocking out row 2. Oliver Bohlin and Alexander Olsen round out row 3. Just outside of 0.5 second off of pole is Robin Oslund, who's ahead of Robin Manson. They're fighting for 4th in the championship tonight as well, with Cedric Holman and Marcus Hagman rounding out the top 10. It's Andre Solander and Oscar Motin rounding out the first 6 rows with Daniel Holmer and Jock Frisk. It is Jonas Sjöberg and Christopher Dahlström on row 8, ahead of Hackenschott and Bjorn Broström. Outside of that, on row 10, we've got Pontus Redstedt and Robert Eriksson. Peter Helmbroek just missed out on a top 20 with Philip Hard alongside him. Tony Uvinen and Sami Josentu are on row 12, ahead of Emil Reinbach and Marcus Stiller, who didn't set a time in the end. Clutch Club Racing locking out the final row again. So, 26 drivers in contention, and on the grid here we'll have a top 20 reversed for the second race of the evening, of course. But more importantly, we have got race 1 first of all, with Edvin Forsen and Oliver Hagström Vigezju right up there where they need to be. 18 laps, as you can see in the bottom right hand side of your screen there, for race 1, and a very important race coming up if you want to win this championship.
Absolutely, and I wonder what we're going to see with the tyre selection, because I think I see some black tyres on the front row there from Ericsson and Forsen, which is interesting. We've criticised the nearly on pace team for using the blacks in the sprint race in the last couple of rounds. They've just gone backwards, but it looks like maybe that is a tyre of choice today. We'll certainly find out. Of course, the alternate red tyres will be used at some point in the second race when a pit stop is due, but in this first race they are going straight to the end for 18 laps of action, and this is the race where those top drivers in qualifying want to seal those points. When we get the top 20 reversed, you never know what can happen and maybe you get taken out.
Someone's missing there on the grid. That's Marcus Hagman, who's not taken his grid place up in 10th. Not entirely sure why he's done that, but he'll be starting from pit lane in that case as they all roll away for a formation lap here first time around. Yeah, no idea why he's decided to do that, Marcus Hagman, but anyway, he will be starting from pit lane at best. On board we go in the mid-pack, and this is basically what we're going to be seeing from the mid-pack right on the way towards turn number 1. This is on board with Cedric Homom, I think, on the way down into the first corner. It's a pretty narrow opening chicane, to be honest. It used to be a lot more open about 20 years ago or so, this opening chicane, but actually it's very difficult now with that curb on the inside. You can very easily make side-to-side contact with those alongside you, making your way through 2 and 3 difficult as well. It's hard to imagine a world in which we get everyone through these opening couple of corners cleanly.
Yeah, this first sector all the way through to the chicane onto the back straight is so tight and so difficult to have as your lap 1 or you know, the start of the race. It's very, very tricky indeed. I'm sure you're going to see a few drivers try to go side by side through the chicane, but someone is going to have to back out at some point, probably go all the way on the lighter runoff on their left hand side, or even send it over the curb. You never know. It's a very tough track, to be honest. It looks quite simple with its layout, and it doesn't have much in the way of elevation change or camber as such, but it is pretty tricky and it's very difficult. There's a lot of long corners here. You've got to balance the rear end quite a lot, and I wonder, the longer we go into the stints, how those rear tyres are going to hold on. And interesting, it looks like it's just the front row on those black tyres, and the next 3-4 rows all on the reds. So interesting choice from the front row there. They might be swallowed up in the first couple of laps.
Exactly, and that I feel is the problem with using the primary tyres. For Edwin Forsen, who needs a top 6 in this opening race, if he's going to be 7th or 8th by the end of the opening couple of laps, surely this race is going to be almost impossible for him coming back through the field again later.
Potentially, but I guess it depends. The two teammates on the front row are, of course, slightly in different teams for the championship, but they are teammates for Sim Race Sweden. They must have done their research and done the comparisons. We did see you in Interlagos. There wasn't much difference between the tyres, but especially at the Red Bull Ring, there was actually quite a significant gap, and the nearly on pace cars just went backwards.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this call, as we know, but we'll see if it works out, and we'll take our hat off if indeed it works. Maybe they'll just run around side by side the entire race so no one can overtake them. Anyway, we'll see. Out the final corner, they come 89 Fahrenheit on the circuit here. It's the 1st of September in Sim, and so we'll see how those conditions play into these tyres as well, as the green flag waves here for the penultimate time this season. Round 12 of the Indy Series here at Indianapolis is underway, and look at that aggressive defence already from Jesper Ericsson. It's Edwin Forsen who takes up second place pretty easily as well. Oliver Huxenbiggers, who's already ahead of his teammate in third. That's not a surprise. Mikko Sundström is there as well. In fourth, as there's a spin in the background, it looks like Hagen's shot has been slowed down certainly by, and he's spinning around, and all sorts going on in the background there as he pulls off the road. Austin, meanwhile, gets past Alexander Olsen in towards the chicane, and here comes Albin Manson as well, another one of the nearly on pace teams, looking down the inside, and he's going to go for it. Oh, careful, that was quite early on the brakes from Ostland. He remains side by side with Alexander Olsen,
who's going to just about make it through. He almost lost the position, but in the end, he actually gained one. I say that, he's gone wide. Nosson comes back up the inside, and Manson's going to follow him through. He has not had a good run there through turn 10. And as he comes down towards the braking zone at turn 12, got a huge send up the inside. That's Oscar Motin trying to make it 3 wide almost at the apex. We remain side by side with Olsen and Manson around the outside for the nearly on pace it's going to be. They'll turn to the inside, but once again, the flip-flop works, and on the outside, they go side by side again.
Motin will get right in the slipstream here of Olsen. Oh, Manson, careful, getting tucked in the slipstream. He wants to take it, of course, but he can't quite do it with the overlap that he's got. Very difficult indeed, as the championship contenders, I think, are going side by side up in front of them. No, not quite. Hofstrom Vigzu is just having a look at the moment. And look at this, Forsen is defending for his life. This is really big for the championship as things stand. That's Motin down the inside, meanwhile, of Olsen. Side-to-side contact. Has Forsen gone off somewhere? Oh no, it's Sundström. Sundström's gone off, excuse me. Sundström from 4th place, and there's a big spin up in front of them. Oscar Motin looks like he's gone around, does he? No, it's not him, excuse me, it's somebody else. It's Olsen. Alexander Olsen, who's gone for a spin at the second chicane. It's a very, very difficult chicane, of course, and it's caught 2 victims this time.
These drivers are looking racy. Penultimate race of the season. I wonder if there was contact or if that was just a bit of a chunk of the curb. Motin has gone backwards. He's messed up turn 10 again. That corner seems to be so important. Frisk has come past and a home bomb as well as they go side by side. Frisk, big send up the inside, gets it stopped as well. Should have that one stuck into the final corner. Home bomb is not going to want to hold that on the outside. Oh no, contact is made. Motin's looking very aggressive on the race today. Dives up the inside and just about saves it.
Well, so it's all okay for the moment. I said that it might be a bit chaotic early on here, and well, it's proving to be as I expected round here. To be honest, this is, oh my goodness me, what's going on back there? Motin and Holbom in the foreground going side by side. That's Motin through into ninth. There's seemed like overly aggressive weaving going on in the background. To be honest, some dramatic overtakes anyway being made up front. Jesper Eriksson is still leading by just under half a second. Oliver Hudson Vigers has had a great start here. Of course, taking one position from your teammate does help, to be fair, but since then he's overtook Edwin Forsen. Don't know how, but he did make it up into second place, and now he's on the back of Jesper Eriksson. You get the feeling that Oliver Hudson Vigers has to strike here early, because those primaries are only going to come into this race more, and his reds are only going to go off.
And also, he's further behind in the championship. So he needs this win more than Forsland. And now Forsland's lost the closeness of his teammates to try and help him in that regard. I think Viggy's going to be looking very good for this race victory. Eriksson is making the blacks work at this moment in time. Maybe Forsland, as you say, needs a few laps to get into it, but he's still holding on to 3rd place. Is Oliver going to have a look here, though?
Down the straight, this is your best chance in towards turn 1, but no, very calmly, not even attempting to get into the head of Jesper Eriksson there, but you can tell that he is in the head of him because he's sort of moving around in the mirrors a little bit, or will certainly be looking in the mirrors. Well, Jesper Eriksson, oh, he's gone off! Oh, he saved it! Goodness me! That could have been a championship saving slide there from Oliver Hagström Viggersjö. He just ran wide through turn 3 into 4, had his wheels on the grass, and somehow he saves it.
That is absolutely ridiculous. In the moments you thought his championship was over, he might just about have held on to it. That is some crazy stuff. Let's have a look at this once more. Coming through turn 3 on that curve, he's going to just slide wide ever so slightly onto the grass just by an inch, and that was enough. Massive save there. I mean, if he loses any positions, really, as you say, outside of the top 6 is what he absolutely needs, but anything off the podium even, and that's going to be such a big task in that final race with the reverse grid.
Yeah, we know, of course, both of these guys are going to be starting, if indeed things go well, way outside the top 15 in this second race. So it's going to be a big task when they get there. This is what went on the opening lap, by the way. Schorhagen shot backwards. This is how... Oh, got clipped there by someone. Pretty difficult to clip someone around sometimes in these Indy cars because of the way that their rear tyres are set out. Oh, and then Emil Rybak just seemed to drive into him there. And that's contact for both Schott and Rybak. This is Alexander Olsen a few laps later, bouncing over those curves. We've had many famous moments through there, Cameron, I know, vaulting over those curves. Olsen going backwards this time round, and this is all wide. Yeah, he was sort of on a narrow entry and then launches himself over the second one.
Saved it pretty well, and also well done to the other drivers for not making further contact. In that turn 1 incident, I think it might have been teammates of Bohlin and Schott, which is not always the nicest thing. Let's see the 35 Eriksson just locking the rears coming into the braking zone of turn number 1. And he's going to have to wait a little bit. Oh, wow! He managed to avoid that. One of the Sim Race Sweden cars. This is Olsen, maybe just struggling with the tyres after the previous spin, comes in way too fast, maybe a bit of target fixation, and Eriksson got the car going in the nick of time to not have a further crash there.
He avoided him there like he was swerving a tackle in a rugby match or something. It was extraordinary at turn 1, but he's managed to save them both from quite a lot of damage probably, so well done for that. They're both still in the race in 22nd and 23rd position as we have a look down the front straight at the top 6 here, all covered by 3.2 seconds at the moment, right the way down to Oliver Bohlin. Jesper Eriksson leads ahead of Oliver Hagström, Viggersjö, Edvin Forsen, Robin Östlund, Albin Madsen and Oliver Bohlin the top 6, with of course at 2nd and 3rd place our focus for the moment because of the championship contenders. Meanwhile, for 7th place, Oscar Motin is continuing his charge through the field. He is now up to 7th place. That's 5 gained from the start.
Absolutely, he's got Andre Salander coming behind for Alcantech. They've got a big gap up ahead of them. Huge defence to the inside. Motin's looking so aggressive today, trying to hold on to these positions. Salander to the outside is going to make Motin go a little bit narrower, slow him down, get him offline through this what is really like a triple chicane sequence of corners, really flowing. Then this is the important corner we've seen. If you go a bit wide here, you lose so much momentum onto this kind of straight, which is not really a straight at all because it's got the corner of turn 11, but they come to the next braking zone and Motin seems to be holding on for now.
In towards the final sector, they are continuing their fight up front. Oliver Hagström Viggersjö has regained that ground on a bit of push to pass as well. You can see the green light going on the steering wheel. He is getting into the head now of Jesper Eriksson, or trying to, by just moving around in those mirrors in towards turn 1. But look who's a lot closer. Edvin Forsen's growing into this race on those primary tyres, which will be getting better. And nearly halfway in, you've got to be suspecting that the sort of balancing point between these two sets of tyres has got to be coming pretty soon.
Eriksson is the slowest of all of these top 6 drivers that you can see on your screen. That is why they're all bunching up to each other. Whether this is on purpose to get Forsen a bit closer, or is he just struggling on those black tyres? We'll have to find out. Viggersjö's all over the back of him. He's definitely the faster car, and if he gets in the lead and Eriksson keeps this pace, then surely he's going to be able to go off into the distance. Eriksson sliding once more on the exit of turn 10. The advantage is definitely in the way of nearly on pace right now.
It is for now. I'm not sure how long or how much longer I should say it's really going to last, though. We'll wait and see on that as they make their way now through the final corner. This is all getting a lot closer now for the top 6. You can see them all, or you're about to see them all on the straight. There they are as Oliver Bohlin brings up the rear. Here comes Oliver Hagström Viggersjö under 2/10 of a second. He's in diving distance. Oh, and that was Jesper Eriksson feeling the need to go on the defensive, and Forsen there very nearly ran straight into the back of him in towards turn 1.
Yeah, I think Viggersjö sort of backed out a bit a little bit, so he broke early, and then Forsen came in full steam, locking the rears to avoid some contact, and just about was able to do so. A yellow flag I saw on the steering wheel. Wonder if someone has gone around. I know Vedestad is in the pit lane, just also losing some time. Maybe some drivers having a few issues out there on the track, but everyone at the front here is going well. But we'll have to see how this one continues. It's getting a little bit tense, and once again on the last lap, Eriksson was the slowest of the top 6.
Yeah, Vedestad is the only one who's gone back to the pit lane just for the moment. Forsen under a lot of pressure though from Robin Östlund, who's currently in 4th place in the Drivers' Championship, by the way, ahead of Albin Madsen, who will be fighting with primarily for that point in the championship at the end of the season. Currently 1 position ahead of him. As things stand, he would be gaining just the 3 points over him right now, or just 2, I should say, over him. But can he make that a few more as he tries to pass Edvin Forsen, who, as we mentioned, needs to be in the top 6 in this opening race of the day. Lap 9, we're approaching half distance, and here goes Östlund. That's a big dive to the inside. There's contact. Forsen just has to run that little bit wide, and he survives. As there's a lap car packed in the apex there, they've both got to go around them. That's cost them a lot of time here. They're now back to 2 seconds away.
And remember, Östlund is only 18 points behind Viggersjö for 3rd place in the championship, so he's not completely out of it really either. Madsen also just about 25 further points behind, so he's the next car in line. So really is all the championship contenders up towards the front here, because Eriksson will be fighting to get inside that top 5 as well. So these positions are important for all of these drivers. It's not like there's one random driver in there taking points away. Everything is going to count towards this championship, and that is why they are fighting so hard.
Remarkable stuff, really, in this opening part of the race. Of course, this is the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy series here for 2024. Our season finale tonight, of course. And that makes it different, of course, to the Oval series, which we'll be coming back with next week. We're very much in the mid part of the season there. Out onto the start-finish line for the end of the first half of this opening race of the evening, round 12 of the series. And it looks like this time might be a bit more calmer than the last time. But I don't think Forsen's going to be delighted that Robin Osland is applying so much pressure to him at the moment, to be honest with you, because look at the gap it's creating out to the leaders. Jesper Eriksson is just putting a few more attempts into Oliver Hagström-Viggersjö, who's clearly struggling a little bit more now, and Forsen's no longer there to really take advantage of it.
Yeah, I wonder if we've had the crossover. The pace really has slowed down. Everyone's into the 13s, the high 13s. We're keeping into the 112s until about lap 6, lap 7, which is those laps where Eriksson started slowing down a little bit for the first time. So very interesting point of the race. Of course, 18 laps, about halfway through on this lap. So I wonder if the Blacks are going to start coming to the Sim Race Sweden cars of Forsland and Eriksson at the front. But Olsen's still looking good on them. Viggersjö still holding on there, but it's almost getting to a second at the front. Maybe Eriksson's just starting to push a little bit more. We'll have to see what this lap time is on this one.
Yeah, I wonder whether those primaries are starting to come into this a bit more and the Reds are going away. The Reds are, or at least for Hagström anyway, they're 1.3 seconds slower than his fastest lap time as things stand. Eriksson is a lot closer to his best as things stand. Over the line they go. Eriksson's not really any closer to his best, but Hagström's only getting slower. One thing that's worth noting, though, Hagström is getting the fastest lap point as things stand. That will help along. And he and Forsland have both managed to get the 5 points so far for having 0 incident points. So as things stand, Hagström-Viggersjö would still be in the game as long as he finishes second and doesn't get any incident points. It's quite complicated, but at the moment he's okay.
Yeah, that extra 5 points for a 0x race is crucial. If that is 10 points over the evening, that could very easily swing a position in the championship. So we need to keep an eye on that, and I'm sure race director Lise Brewster will keep us updated as the evening goes on. Can't wait to see how that one plays out, to be honest, as we're seeing Oliver Bohlin here as he's got a car behind. Don't worry about that. That is not a car on the lead lap. As it stands, I think that's a Hocken's shot in the 101 machine, potentially a little bit further behind. We're going side by side behind them as we're seeing Sjöberg trying to go all the way around the outside of Salander. Up the inside, Salander goes deep on the brakes trying to defend that one, and that's just going to mean that Sjöberg's up the inside into the final corner.
Watching on is Cedric Holmboe in the 10th place in the number 10. He's already on the push to pass through the final corner, which I'd be a bit nervous about, to be honest. It is a flat-out corner normally, but you do get a little bit loose through there sometimes, and so you do have to be careful. Here comes Sjöberg, though, on the outside, just squeezing Salander on the inside, trying to keep him on the tightest line possible. Oh, it's worked! He locks up, slides. Here goes Holmboe. He's on the outside at 3 wide, though. That's never going to work. He'll get down the inside and through on Sjöberg, and Salander will hold on to 8th place, but decent opportunistic driving there from Cedric Holmboe to get into 9th.
Yeah, lovely battle. 1 point for Sjöberg will be at the front, but now he's at the back of this three-way fight. Crazy scenes here in the IndyCar series, the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. Down the inside is going to be for Sjöberg. Huge send. He's going to have that one done by the apex, although Holmboe's going to hold it around the outside. A bit of a slide as well for Sjöberg. Means he's going to have to really work for that as he work away through the chicanes. And as we get towards turn 10, 75 has made his way through. So aggressive driving here all evening.
Evan Forsland's got a lot close to Oliver Hagström-Viggersjö as things stand as well, so these Reds are really going off and the primaries are really coming into things now. It's almost looking like after a season of them being not very good in the first race, maybe they're starting to finally come alive right at the very end. 1.8 seconds is the lead gap for Jesper Eriksson, who's now seeing a gap actually go over 2 as things stand, and Forsland to apply that pressure to Oliver Hagström-Viggersjö. It is going to be a huge battle for second place as Oliver Hagström-Viggersjö tries to hold on to his championship aspirations basically in second place, and here he is without a great run on to the middle straight here. Here goes Edvin Forsland looking for another few points himself. Outside line in towards the corner. He's going to be able to stay there and through the chicane he might have this. Round the outside through the next part though. Gives him the inside for turn 10. Here he goes. He's finally through. Edvin Forsland up to 3rd, and Oliver Hagström-Viggersjö is out of the running as things stand.
And he needs to look at Ostland coming in behind as well. Might be losing another position before the end of this race. I think you're right, you and the Blacks are coming in, but maybe it was Vigazhu pushing too much. Eracingligan has gone a lot faster though. He's picked up the pace. I think he just had a couple of slow laps and is now pushing at the front. He's now over 3 seconds out in the lead. And Oliver is really struggling here as we come across the line once more. Forsen is going to be trying to hold on to his second place and will really put him in good hopes of this championship.
In towards turn 1, nothing doing this time round, but this is huge moments for Oliver Vigazhu. As things stand, he's only scoring 36 points from this race. That would put him 62 behind going into the final one with only 56 available. So it's impossible as things stand for him to win the championship from here. So he does need to do something. Meanwhile, Holbom seems to have gone off, and he has. There he is, turn 2. He's spun around, and he doesn't look like he's got a front wing to me from here, although I can't see. Yeah, oh dear, yeah, it's hanging off there. So there's clearly been contact for Cedric Holbom. He was fighting, of course, with Salander and Sjöberg and Sundström in towards turn 1. This is what happened. He was trying to pass Andre Salander in towards turn 1, went for the cutback move. Oh, and a bit of awkward contact.
Yeah, that was actually a little bit unlucky, to be honest, with how aggressive each of those drivers were being, and just the unfortunate contact spun him around, even though he had slightly the higher line there into turn 2. But it really pinches you at turn 2. Often see a lot of contacts in that corner. So difficult to go side by side. Despite it being quite wide, the actual racing line is slightly off camber, I think, as well. Just makes it ever so slightly awkward. But back to the front, we're seeing Vigazhu here. He needs to get back up into second place for the championship, but to be honest, I think it's gone. I think he's now just looking in his mirrors and trying to hold on to this podium. Austin is coming in very strong. He's kept his reds a lot better this race so far, and I think he's got the pace at the end of this race as all. We're seeing some gravel being spat up there by Forsen.
I thought he had. There was so much stuff being spat up there that I thought he had some sort of damage, and he was scraping along the ground. That was remarkable. Anyway, he's okay. He's still in second place. I think you're right, though. These primary tyres have been a real great choice from Jesper Eriksson and Evan Forsund, and those on the reds just cannot cope at the moment. There is no way, by the way, that Vigazhu can stay in the championship with a third place finish. He had to finish at least second here in this race, and at the moment it's just not happening. There needs to be a miracle, really. I can't really see this turning around very easily for Oliver Vigazhu. To be honest, he's going to have quite a job keeping Robin Ostland behind.
Yeah, the Blacks are really coming into it. They can still do high 12s, low 13s, whereas the Reds have now gone into high 13s. So, yeah, almost a second off the potential pace of the Reds at this moment in time, or at least for Vigazhu's really struggling. I think Austin will have a couple more tenths in the bag if he can get past, but certainly that is easier said than done. We have 3 laps to go of this first race, but remember, we still have one more. The top 20 of this race will be reversed for race 2, and that's when Forsen will need to come through the field if he wants to win the championship.
It's an outrageous amount of gravel, isn't it? Someone needs to get a broom out and start sweeping over there. Goodness me. In the background, that was one of the lap cars running very wide indeed. So that's all okay. 2 more laps to go at the end of this one, and this is certainly the closest battle inside the top 5 as things stand. In fact, there aren't very many going on outside the top 10 at the moment. Only that group for 8th place otherwise is going on, as Mikko Sundström is trying to regain some of those places that he lost earlier on in the day. He's currently in 9th position for nearly on pace to be starting around there as well for the second race. As far as the pole sitter goes for the next race, Semi Yosu currently holds on to 20th place, although he has got Marcus Hugman about 5 seconds behind him. So we're once again in one of those races where pretty much everyone without problems is going to be involved in the reverse grid. Of course, Marcus Hugman, worth remembering, started from the pit lane at the beginning of this one. So while he's registered having lost 11 places, he's really gained 5 because he started from pit lane.
And this could potentially cause carnage in this second race. Just for a rough reference, the guys around P15 onwards, they're in the 1 minute 15s, whereas the guys at the front are really in the 13s. So there's about 2 seconds lap difference between those. So the start of the next race is going to be quite something. When there's a championship on the line, that's going to be so tough for Forsen to come through. Really needs to get back up inside the podium again to have a realistic chance without relying on the bonus points too much. So yeah, crazy stuff in this championship. What a format we've got, and it is actually bringing you a bit of a grandstand finish, even though Lindhoff is not even on the track today.
Well, it's probably giving us more of a grandstand finish because he's not on the track, if I'm honest with you. If he was here, he would have a 60-point lead over Forsund and 75 over Oliver Harkes and Biggersjö. Now, if he finished ahead of Forsund and Biggersjö at the end of the opening race, then we would be done before race 2. But thankfully, we do still have the title race alive with one race to go. Edvin Forsund still in second place. White flag is now waving. I just wonder whether Jesper Eriksson's going to give him the win here. I feel like that's pretty unlikely, but they are teammates after all in first and second.
I hadn't even thought of that situation. I think maybe if it was a second, you may have seen something, but if it's 4 seconds, I doubt Ericsson is going to be holding on to that. Also, Forsund doesn't need it as such. Like, it would help, but it's not like it's the final race of the season and he needs those points. It's still in Forsund's hands for the next race. So just half a lap remaining. Big send up the inside, maybe for Östlund. Oh, actually, it's forced a mistake. Biggersjö goes wide, and there is another place and a few more points lost. Forsund, I should say Östlund, gets up onto the podium on the final lap.
That might secure Östlund's place as fourth in the championship by the end here. These two, by the way, only separated by 18 points at the start of the day. It's not out of the possibility at all that Östlund could catch Biggersjö, so we'll see on that front later on. But meanwhile, Jesper Eriksson is making his way through the final corner, and he's going to win again in the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy series. It's his third win of the season. His inconsistency, unfortunately, has been writ large throughout the 13 rounds of this season, but his pace has been absolutely phenomenal. Third race win of the season goes to him. Edvin Forsund with second place scores we believe to be 45 points, giving him a 38-point deficit going into the final race of the season.
And that is going to be possible to overcome. So Forsund's got some work to do still, but let's just see if he can do so. Up towards the line, we're going to see Frisk getting close, but not quite enough to make that one final overtake on Solander. And of course, it's the top 20 that will be reversed. So we're looking for Sami Jonsu, who's going to be coming across the line in that place, we believe. And he'll be starting the final race of the season in pole position. So what a finale we've opened up ourselves here. Of course, Lindhoff not being here on the track. The points are there to be gained for Forsund, and he's already done half the job.
He certainly has, and over the line for a few more at the end. Cedric Holmboe scraping himself along the ground towards the end of this race, but he's made it. He'll be inside that top 20, and he will be benefiting from that reverse grid at the end of the day. So exciting times for him in race 2, I would imagine. Jesper Eriksson takes his third race win of the season, though, for Sim Race Sweden Pro, with Edvin Forsund taking second place. He's still in the game. Robin Östlund is now a bit closer to third in the championship with a third place finish in the race ahead of Oliver Harkes and Biggersjö with that pass on the last lap. Oliver Wallen and Albin Manson were there or thereabouts throughout as well, with Oscar Moten winning the race to 7th. Mikael Sundström eventually recovered to 8th ahead of Jonas Sjöberg, and Andre Solander rounding out the top 10. Jupp Frisk just outside of it, with Daniel Holmer losing ground from 12th place. It was Peter Holmbro 13th, better Tony Even and Marcus Stiller, with Christopher Dahlström just outside that top 15. Robert Eriksson next at Björn Broström, with Cedric Holmboe and Sami Jonsu going nose to tail over the line for 19th place as well. Just outside of the top 20 and therefore missing out on the reverse grid is the pit lane starting Marcus Hagman, Pontus Wested and Philip Hahn, who both finished one lap down. Emil Reinbach, who hit Hackenschott on the opening lap, 2 laps down. Hackenschott, who was spun around on that opening lap, of course. And Alexander Olsen, who went for a big spin over the chicane, finishing 11 laps down as well. That's it for race 1. 18 laps complete here in the opening round of the evening. We'll be back in a few moments' time for race 2, where we decide and find out who is going to be the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series champion for 2024. Welcome back to Indianapolis, where the final round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series for 2024 is still ongoing. This is the Gelleråsen race day, the final race day of our season, with myself, Ian O'Leary, and Cam Roger here with you live on RaceSpotTV again. We're just in warm-up between the two races at the moment, and in a few moments' time we'll be getting things underway. The big news, the big headlines from race one: Jesper Eriksson winning for a third time this season, but perhaps more importantly, Evan Forsland scoring a pretty massive 45 points in that opening race of the evening, now requiring himself a second place finish with just second place, or third place with the 5 points for a 0x race, as he managed in race number one. We'll see which he can manage here, Cam, but he knows exactly what he has to do here, and that makes it all the more exciting, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one of those things where he has basically it in his hands, because we've seen with how carnage-filled these races are, to go from P19 up towards the front of the field is very much possible in these reverse grid races. So he can do it, and he just needs to be able to just execute that on track and not get a clumsy incident as well on that opening lap.
Let's have a look at the grid for the final race of the season as Sammy Johansson takes up the pole position ahead of Cedric Holbob. It's Björn Broström lining up directly behind his teammate in third, with Robert Eriksson alongside. Clutch Club Racing are sharing row 3 with Christopher Dahlstrand and Marcus Stiller. Tony Ivinen, the only driver to even drive in warm-up, was 7th ahead of Peter Hernbro, with Daniel Holmer and Jock Frist rounding out the top 10. Andre Solander and Jonas Sjöberg round out the first 6 rows. Mikael Sundström and Oscar Motin alongside each other, and Albin Manson and Oliver Bohlin are 2. Oliver Hagström and Robin Ossund are sharing row 9. Evan Forsland and Jesper Eriksson on row 10. Forsland requiring that second place, of course, with Marcus Hagman starting 21st. He just missed out on the reverse grid with Pontus Grested, Philip Harton, Emil Reinbach, Hackenschott and Alexander Olsen, all of whom are starting at the back. And there they are, lining up on the grid. Couple of degrees Fahrenheit warmer, Cam, but noticeably darker, because it is 5 p.m. in the evening now, rather than the middle of the afternoon. In September, we are virtual standard time. It doesn't seem that those conditions really have made too much of a difference, to be honest. I kind of get the feeling that this circuit meant that the primaries were actually a better choice in race one, sort of whatever the conditions were going to be.
Yeah, I think on the longer run we did see the primaries being better after about 10 laps of the stint. But everyone has to use both in this race. Of course, no pit stops in the sprint race, but in the main feature race, we do have a pit stop required. Some will start on the sticker reds and go to the primaries. Some will start on the primaries and then be a lot faster on the reds at the end. But one thing that we see often is those who go a lot longer in this first stint, they'll do an overcut as such. They'll have less fuel in the car, do some qualifying laps, and then they'll do, they'll gain some time that way. So going along in this first stint, maybe going on those primaries could actually be very useful, and then have a shorter sticker red stint at the end. So it's a tough choice though, because you don't, especially if you're in the championship contention, you want to get up the field, so you want to have the reds in this first stint. So it's a very weird one with what you're going to choose.
I was talking a little bit towards the end of that race about whether Evan Forsland would be let through by his teammate Jesper Eriksson. Well, Linus has just reminded me of something very important. Henrik Lindorff is also a sim race Sweden championship, so it would be a bit unfair to help one rather than the other. So I think they're just going to race as they are. In terms of the other championship positions, by the way, Oliver Hagström, Vigasu and Robin Ossund are not too far apart going into this final race either. Certainly less than 20 anyway, the gap between those two. Albin Manson is not too far away. He could mathematically get ahead of Hagström and Ossund actually in this race as well. There's plenty still to play for, but for a lot of these drivers, it's just going to be about that one last race win, and we've seen plenty of surprise winners this season benefiting from a reverse grid and getting up there, winning a race. I wonder whether, however, having said that, they're all in the top 7 now, the race winners, so we'll see if anyone can spring a surprise for the last race.
Absolutely, and there's every chance that can happen 32 laps of action. It's going to be a tough one, though. We've seen a bit of a field spread, as I mentioned, at least at the end of that sprint race. The pace difference between those drivers who are basically on the front row now and who we saw win the first race was about 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap. So we are going to be seeing some bunching, and in these first 5 laps or so, it could be crucial how far ahead these drivers can get, but you never know what is going to happen. It's a very tight turn one. We already had a crash there in that previous race as well. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of that and we get a lovely championship fight with Forsland coming through the pack.
See if he can get there. He needs that second place or maybe a third. Let's wait and see over the course of the final race of the season. It's the Gelleråsen race day here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The final round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series for 2024 set to get underway. Sami Joensuu in control of the field with alongside him Cedric Holmbohm absolutely waiting for the jump. And there we go, out of the final corner. The green flag waves for the final time here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Joensuu immediately under pressure from Cedric Holmbohm in towards turn number 1. Who dives down the inside, late on the brakes and gets through into the lead very easily. A big stack up for second. It's going to be carnage in the midfield for sure. Oh, and there it is. Immediately contact and a spin, I'm afraid, for one of them who goes round to the outside of turn number 3. This is on board with Jesper Eriksson in the mid-pack. How can you get yourself through here without any contact? It looks like Eriksson's done a decent job of that so far.
Always say that. He's gone onto the grass. Can he keep it in a straight line? Just about. There's cars to his left, cars to his right, and he's kept it just about. That is an incredible save from Jesper Eriksson. We're 4 wide, coming towards the braking zone, and I think that's Eriksson actually on the inside of that. Wants to avoid this. Cars off in the grass once more. Some of the clutch cup racing. What an insane start. No one is holding anything back as you go to the final race of the season.
That was Forsland who ran a bit wide there, by the way. He's still going okay, but he is down in 19th place. All sorts going on up ahead here as there's a lock-up, and there you go. Forsland diving down the inside, making up another place. That's 17th now. He's up to, that was Oliver Hagström Viggersjö locking up and going off, by the way, just up ahead of him. He's directly now ahead of Forsland. Osland and Sjöberg side by side down the front straight as Cedric Holmbohm's raced out to a massive lead here. This is remarkable from him. The battles are all behind, and they are numerous. Here goes Oscar Motin down the inside of Sjöberg in towards turn number 1. And there goes Forsland as well. He's up to 16th place early on here.
Importantly, he's already got a 1x on that first lap, so that means he needs second place. Third will not be enough. He's got 15 more places to go, and every single one of them is set right in front of him with how close this field is. What an opening lap that was. Holmbohm has got a 4.5 second lead, as in the background someone is going off. I think that's Vedestad maybe just dropping a couple of places, moves up inside the top 10 as well as Manson goes down. He loses 2 places, he loses more. Manson must be off there, and yes, he certainly is. He's going across the grass. He drops from 5th place outside the top 10.
Yeah, that was clear for all to see there. And missing part of his front wing here is Arvin Manson, as is the driver directly behind him. That's Jonas Sjöberg, so that's why he was so easily overtaken by Motin. Oh, Forsland doesn't know where to go. That's Manson trying to stay out of everybody's way on the inside line there. Everybody's very wary of Forsland's situation, I feel, here, and they are staying right out of the way. So there you go. Through into the pit lane he goes. Forsland, meanwhile, is up to 14th place, but I'd be concerned about some drivers ahead of him who are already making a lot more progress than he has. This is what happened to Manson in the meantime. Well, I'm getting to that. That was pretty rude, actually, from whoever that was down the inside.
Yeah, that was Jukka Frisk in the 25 machine. Late send, and basically just didn't make the apex either. Pushed him off. That's not ideal for Manson. Of course, nearly on pace, looking for the Constructors' Championship as well. That is getting pretty tight, especially the fact that Lindhoff is not scoring more points tonight. So very interesting indeed. But up ahead, Frisk has actually lost a place. Osland is making some good moves. He's already up 11 places. Oliver Bohlin just up ahead. Cars off the road. Didn't quite see who that was, but someone is getting out of the way. That might have been Osland actually in that yellow machine. So Frisk is going to get the place back.
And directly ahead of Eriksson. Frisk is off the road, and they all figure it out eventually, but that wasn't great for Osland. He's now looking up the inside in towards turn 12. Goodness me, that's a squeeze, and they've made it work. Frisk had to back out though pretty much immediately. Here goes Motin round the outside of the final corner, penultimate corner, and he makes his way through into 9th as well. There goes Jesper Eriksson up to 7th place, and Osland will continue to battle with him. weaving around on the front straight as well, right in front of Edvin Forsland, who's coming up onto these guys as well. You can see him just poking to the inside. Meanwhile, Bohlin, Helmbro and Prostrom all going side by side as well. There's a lot going on here, but the gaps to those out front are getting very big.
Oh my word, yes, already 10 seconds between first and third place up the inside. We're going to see for Osten on Brostum. That is going to be round the outside through the chicane. Huge chunk of the curve. Motin just sends it over, keeps his foot in it, and he will get the run down this back straight with 3 wide. Coming in towards the next braking zone, Hana, I should say, comes through the middle, then dives it down the inside. That could be a triple overtake if he makes that stick on Frisk. These guys are absolutely going crazy. Hana is going to make that a triple overtake as he gets through.
This is carnage, but it's not great for Forsland, I don't think. The gap to second is getting so big now. It's nearly 10 seconds up to second place, and a lot of the drivers who are very, very quick and up there in the championship are ahead of him. So he needs to chase them down and overtake them, which could be really difficult here for Edvin Forsland. I think the odds are very much stacked against him at the moment, I've got to say, although we are only 4 laps in to a 32-lap race. Out onto the front straight they go again. He's got Oscar Motin directly ahead of him. Then it's Frisk, then it's Hahn, who's made himself a great start as well, by the way, in his own right. In towards turn number 1. Here goes Motin on Frisk. He gets through. And I'd imagine that Forsland will be able to make light work of Frisk pretty soon as well. But I'd be worried about overtaking drivers like Osland here, who's making his way up to 6th place, like Jesper Eriksson as well, who's making his way up to 4th. There's too many drivers ahead of him right now, Forsland, who are going to take this championship away from him.
Yeah, Forsland is too many places behind Eriksson. I wonder if Eriksson was just that little bit more aggressive on that first lap. 7 places is a long, long shot. And yeah, that's going to be a lot to overcome. But we do know the pace is going to be there in this car. He's a very fast driver in that 27. He's been fast all season, over 32 laps. I'm sure he can make something work. The issue is the gaps ahead. He can't really control. He can only focus on the cars immediately up ahead of him. The 2 cars, though, are making some big moves. That's Frisk up the inside of Motin. They're going to push each other wide, so be very careful. It doesn't really get tangled up in a situation, but all this batting just loses further time to Hana ahead.
No reaction from Forsland about that, but I can't imagine he's delighted. They go side by side ahead of him again, and there's going to be another big battle in towards turn 1 here between the 2 of them. Here goes Motin. Oh, looking to the inside next to the pit wall. Forsland doesn't want to make it 3 wide. Oh, and he very nearly hits the back of Frisk there as well. Now he'll be getting through into the top 10. And he can start to work his way forward. But look at the gap to second. Over 10 seconds to Robert Eriksson. That's the magic position.
Oh!
As off the road ahead of him. Oh, my word, he's just weaved his way around a couple of spinners there. He's suddenly up to 7th place as a couple of drivers went for a big spin right in front of him.
He lost some time, but he gained some places. The parting of the seas for Forsland. He could have so easily made contact with one of 3 cars there, but he got through all of them. Somehow is still going in this race. What a championship decider we are having. He's got 2 seconds up to the next half. Jonsu. It was actually Jonsu's teammate who spun around. I didn't quite see which one it was, but that was so close to being some huge contact and championship over.
He did a great job to weave around it as well. Really remarkable. There it is. Philip Hahn had made some great progress, but he was involved in it as well. There were 3 drivers involved. Oscar Motin was certainly one of them. Philip Hahn was as well. And someone was left there stranded in the middle of the road. Peter Helmbro might have been,
yes,
who was involved there as well. It was all going on, certainly. Solander, meanwhile, Andre Solander down the inside of Frisk, who brakes quite late, in contrast to his battle with Motin, where he sort of gave it up. He's hanging on to 8th place instead. Round the outside, though, for Solander, should give him the inside at 3 and 4. And he should be able to make his way through again, and does, but not convincingly. Frisk comes back again, and they'll single file themselves out before the chicane. But this is Oliver Hagström getting himself involved, seemingly missing part of his front wing while he's doing it.
Yes, not the championship decider that Big would have wanted. Went backwards in that first race, but can he go forwards in this one, round the outside of Frisk, who a couple of times now has backed out of those moves. We saw it in turn 1. We saw it there again at the end of the back straight into turn 7. So definitely not feeling very racy tonight. But some drivers are, and some of these moves that we're seeing are absolutely outrageous tonight. I mean, we didn't quite mention the time. Jesper Eriksson, when he got up into that 4th place, I think it was, he went all the way around the outside of a 3 wide situation through the flat out turn 11. There was the contact, so it's harder making contact with Helmbro. Then Moting got tagged as well, and Forsen just slipped through the middle of 3 cars. That is absolutely insane. We're seeing Ericsson here get up onto the podium past Oliver Wallen.
Yeah, I think Ericsson's going to be the biggest thorn in Edwin Forsen's side, to be honest. As even though he makes his way into 6th place here, ahead of Sami Josensu, I think he will, at the moment, be trying to finish 3rd or 4th for Edwin Forsen, unless something goes wrong up ahead. Could be difficult for any more than that. Worth talking about Cedric Holmbom, by the way, who is leading the race by a long way here, and that's exactly the kind of driver I'm talking about when I'm talking about a maybe surprise winner. Cedric Holmbom coming into today was 20th place in the points, despite the fact he'd started every race of this season. That's kind of surprising to me, really, considering his speed and also his speed at times this season. But he's got a big lead here and probably his best chance to win a race.
Indeed, and that lead is so big, he can kind of react to whatever we're seeing. But this is one of the reasons why. So he's on the reds with Ericsson behind, but look at all of those blacks for Ericsson, Wallen, Ossen, Forsland. They're all going to be coming a lot faster now in this second part of the stint as we go past lap 10, but then also at the end of the race they will have the reds on. So that is why Holmbom is making some time now, but it will flip-flop as the race progresses.
Yeah, it certainly will. I would sort of hope for Ericsson and Holmbom that they sort of monitor that gap behind them, look at when the primaries really start to gain it and get in pretty early. I think the problem with that strategy, though, and the problem that they're inherently going to run into is an earlier pit stop benefits them tyre-wise, but where does it bring them out track position-wise? There's lots of battles going on, you know, between them and 42 seconds behind. Yes, Cedric Holmbom. I can't see him coming out in anything other than traffic, to be honest, when he inevitably has to make his early pit stop.
Yes, it's going to be a tough one to hold on. Is that gap big enough, though? That is just what we need to see. It will come down fairly fast, though. So that is the important factor for Ericsson. But is that 10-second gap going to be too much? We'll certainly have to find out. We've seen up the inside there, contact being made, big spin, cars going up in the air, and Scherberg gets hit. There's also a couple of cars just avoiding that front wing damage as well. So a bit of a clumsy move there coming down into turn 12.
At least the kind of things that happen in the reverse grid race a bit more often than they do elsewhere. It can be carnage at times, and there was a bit certainly down there at the braking zone of turn 12. Further in the background, Sami Josensu still at the front of this train here for 7th place out of Solander, and Oliver Huijsen-Vigezou and Jock Frist as well in towards turn 1. They remain single file this time, but Sami Josensu, the pole sitter for this race, does seem a bit like a sitting duck here, to be honest, with Solander right behind. There he goes down the inside, Solander making his way through, and Vigezou does as well. So good passes from those guys, but expected passes certainly that you would see. And Josensu probably going to be overtaken by Jock Frist here as well. He doesn't seem to be putting up too much resistance. I suppose why would he really at this stage, as he brakes a bit early for the left-hander and lets a few more through.
Yeah, I kind of overreacted there, but I thought for a moment we were going to see a bit of a 10-pin bowling situation with all 3 cars on the right-hand side just having the concertina effect in towards each other. They do spread out, though, as we come through turn 11. So Josensu not having the pace that he would have wanted. He's already 25 seconds off the lead just in that first 11 laps. Pretty crazy after starting up there towards the front. But we are seeing now the speeds of the drivers just really come into effect after all of that craziness in the first few laps. Let's see if he's going to have the speed. Losing half his front wing might actually lose some drag as he comes down the front straight. He's pushed to pass, but it's also pushed to defend from Solander up the inside. Half of a look there by Vigezou, but not enough to make the overtake.
Not this time round. I'd imagine this battle will continue on for quite a while, though, to be honest with you, in the final race of the season. Jesper Ericsson has caught up to Robert Ericsson for 2nd place, and as far as the name of the race winner goes, I think that battle does bear quite a lot of importance for it. Can Robert Ericsson help Cedric Holmbom effectively? I don't think he'll be trying to, but he might well inadvertently do so if he holds back Jesper Ericsson for a long time, and of course allowing Oliver Wallen to catch up. But either way, Jesper Ericsson looks like he's got through and up into 2nd place anyway. Oliver Wallen has caught them. Robert Ossen's not too far behind either. Those are all the names that we're flying around here to try and catch Cedric Holmbom over the course of the next 20 laps.
I think Wallen's going to get through here as well for third place. So the podium battles swapping around. Ericsson's actually going to lose 2 places in the course of half a lap. He goes from second to fourth, and Bohlin is still chasing down Ericsson, so he's got half a chance of this second place. And remember, that second place is where Forsen needs to be, and he's about 7 seconds off this, so very important. Ericsson already make up some 18 places, and who would put it past him getting that 19th to get the final win of the season? That would be quite something. And in fact, that would tie him with Lindorf for most wins of the season if he can make it through. They'd be on 4 apiece.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier on, really, about the consistency really letting Jesper Ericsson down, unfortunately. Had a difficult second race at Silverstone, had a relatively difficult one 2 weeks later at Belle Isle as well, unfortunately. Then a difficult oval race at Indianapolis. Finally got things together at Red Bull Ring, and seemingly it wouldn't have mattered anyway because he wasn't here for the Interlagos race, so missed 4 out of the 13 round. But even so, he's certainly shown in his speed, and he was one of the drivers we were definitely talking about as to being involved in the championship fight. In the end, wasn't to be, but you can tell that he's certainly not lost the speed. And going into the next road season, which will be starting not long after the new year, surely he's going to be looking at that, eyeing up that to try and win his title back.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back swinging, trying to regain that. It's a shame he's missed a couple of rounds, as you say, but that's just how it goes. But he's doing everything he needs to, at least on the track for today, and that would be the important factor, is finishing the season off strong, trying to get a couple of victories. That'll be so important for his momentum moving forward. But let's see how it goes. We are getting towards the half race distance, and there will be the pit stops just about starting to come. Of course, we had 18 laps in the first race, so I wouldn't be surprised to get about 20 or so on the fuel tank. So those going long might still have those laps left, or alternatively, you might pit now and then go long a full tank to the end.
I think that now that Cedric Holmberg started to lose time to the likes of Ericsson, that he probably should think about coming in pretty soon. But he's still going on. To be honest, I agree with your point at the start of the race, by the way, that you were saying that the red stripe tyres really started to fall away compared to the primaries after about 10 laps or so. I mean, we're on lap 14 now. The gap between the 2 tyre sets is clear to see. He's losing 6 tenths to Ericsson last time round. I suppose you don't want to run the risk of running too long on the primaries and then, seeing them go off towards the end. But, there's only 22 laps to go. Surely they can manage that.
I would say so, but we are seeing Ericsson actually close down that gap. So at some point, Holmberg might want to pit just to avoid that gap getting too much smaller. But it does seem like the primaries are possibly the race tyres. I mean, Ericsson's back into the 1:12. So there's plenty of drivers out there in the 14, so he's over a second a lap quicker than a lot of the drivers out there. I mean, including Robert Ericsson, who's in behind. Even Viggersjus is into the 14s, so really good pace from the 37 there. Frisk is now starting to try and look racy, getting past Salander. Salander goes a little bit wide. That's going to open up the door. This is a really good move for Frisk, but he just backs out of that one.
Certainly does, and these are the kind of battles we'll be watching for most of the rest of the race, I feel, because that's where the action is as things stand. Through the right-hander of turn 11 they go, and then on to the brakes at turn 12. We saw a horrific smash at the Oval Series race we saw here, the only road race in the Oval Series this season. Robin Nelson, meanwhile, making his way down the inside of Robert Ericsson in towards turn 1, up to 4th place. So, as far as the championship goes, as we know, Evan Forsen needs to finish second now because he ran off the road on the, I think, second lap down at turn 7, and he got a 1x, so he now needs second place. He won't be getting the 5 bonus points for an incident-free race. So, he needs to pass, 4 of the drivers ahead of him? I can see him passing Ericsson, Robert Ericsson that is, but where are these other 3 overtakes going to come from? I think it's looking very difficult for him at the moment.
He is the fastest driver on track on that previous lap, but is only a 10th faster than Ericsson, and he's some 7 seconds behind. So he doesn't have 70 laps to catch that up. So he definitely needs to find some further pace to be able to get on that. But let's see how it goes. You never know what the pit stop sequence is going to hold, and if there's going to be any issues up ahead. Maybe Eracsson catches up to Holmbaum and has a crash. We'll have to certainly find out.
I don't know what Helmut's doing holding up so long here, to be honest with you. But anyway, he's still going and seeing his lead crumble. 7/10 of a second he lost last time around. And Oliver Hagström-Vigezju is into the pit lane. That's surely going to be a sign for Holmbaum to get into the pit lane. I know he'd end up in traffic somewhere, but it's got to be better than what's happening at the moment. Maybe he's trying to go long enough to get as far away from Andre Solander as possible, so he doesn't have to end up in that train for 7th place.
Potentially. He's just seeing this nice fight here with Holmer trying to get through. He's got Frisk on his inside. They've dropped back off Solander, so he hasn't been able to keep up with him. As Forsund has got Robert Eriksson for that 5th place. That is important. At least, actually, yeah, you're right. Eriksson has actually gone off down at turn 7 there. Maybe that was part of the reason. Yeah, just too much curb there, and a nice easy move for Forsund.
That's the best possible move that Forsund could have hoped for there, isn't it, really? No time lost, really, in the battling itself. And he's made up a place. So he's now 3 positions away from a title. As things stand, he would lose out by just 8 points over Henrik Lindhoff, who is not here to... I do wonder in these situations, and it does happen from time to time, maybe not in championship finales, but certainly in championships, what on earth the championship leaders doing at this stage, and whether they're watching or not. I always like to think about what they're doing at this stage, because there's a championship on the line here and there's absolutely nothing he can do. It must be the most helpless feeling in all of sim racing.
Well, he's not racing because he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? He's obviously busy doing something. So hopefully he's got time to at least check his phone or check the stream, see what is going on. But I'm sure it still means something to him. As there goes Hagström-Vigezju. Maybe that's why he came into the pit lane. Or is this already on his out lap? Maybe after his pit stop having that crash. That's a big hit into the wall.
This is out lap. Yep. And you're right. That's a returning back to pit lane moment, I'm afraid, for him, as Frisk, Dahlström, Broström and Marcus Hagman all make their way into pit lane. What is Cedric Holmbaum? Oh, no, he's in. There he is. I was about to say, what is he doing? He's stayed out for so long. I still don't know why he stayed out 17 laps. Probably should have been about 5 laps ago or so. But anyway, oh dear, there's been a big smash here for Hakan's shot, who got straight into the back of somebody there. Might have been Pontus Wetterstedt. I don't know, but there you go. Big crash at the chicane just after Oliver Hagström-Vigezju went off.
And Wetterstedt was going so slow, so he's already had an issue coming through turn 4. Was just not able to get up to speed enough, and shot not quite judging that one, went into the back of him. So this is the number 10, who was, of course, your race leader from the start. Jumped into the start already, into P1, I should say, at the start of the race, through turns 1, 2 and 3, and then romped off into the distance. He's onto the back tyres now to the end, just about half race distance. But Jesper Eriksson is going to be going longer. He's going to be on some quali laps right now in terms of the amount of fuel left, and he's going to be on faster tyres at the end. So that 6-second gap that was there might be overcome by the end of this race.
I think it will be. I think Jesper Eriksson is probably still favourite to win at this stage, but it's going to be close. As you can see, Forsund is not that far away. He's in 4th. Meanwhile, Eriksson comes into pit lane, so he reacts. 14 laps on the red stripe tyres towards the end. That's probably the most I'd want to be doing, to be honest. As Oliver Bohlin follows him in. Does Austin do the same? No. Robin Austin and Edwin Forsund both carry on 1 lap further. Holmbaum has found himself in 9th place as things stand. Little bit of traffic. Marcus Stiller might be in his way in a few moments' time.
Yeah, let's see what the difference is going to be. To say the truth, I expected there to be a couple more laps difference between them, but this is still good because it's still at least an extra lap. So he has a tiny bit of an overcut, and he is now on the faster tyres. So Holmbaum should have the lead, of course, unless he made a big mistake that we didn't see. But what will the gap be? There is the young driver in the number 10 machine coming down. I'll tell you what, the gap is not going to be massive, and Eriksson is going to have a really, really good opportunity here to fight for this victory. Just about, coming through turns 1 and 2 there. So Eriksson is going to have obviously a similar gap to what we saw before, maybe even slightly less, about 4 seconds.
1.1 seconds, meanwhile, between Osland and Forsland. So Forsland is certainly quick. That is not in dispute at the moment, as further behind there is battles going on here between... Now, this is not Stiller, it's one of his teammates. It's Dahlström just ahead of Marcus Hagman. Osland, meanwhile, is into the pit lane. Forsland is carrying on. Another 12.9 from Forsland. A 12.7 from Forsland this time round. I think, and that's his fastest lap of the race so far. Not the fastest, but one of the fastest. He is very, very quick on a long run here, Forsland. Now he's on the primaries for the first time this evening. He is showing himself to be very quick indeed. And I think he's going to do the strategy that you were saying you were expecting Ericsson and Bohlin to do, which is run a lot of laps further than the likes of Holmbom to really make the difference.
Yeah, he's on the qualifying fuel, so might as well use that speed as it gets to this point where the fuel burn is greater than the tyre wear. So you just go faster and faster with the less weight in the vehicle, and he's really going to be gaining some time. And is it going to be enough, though, to get closer to that second place, which looks like is going to be either Holmbom or Ericsson by the end of this race? He needs to get closer to those, and that is the important factor. So he really needs to just do a perfect race to the end, and such importance of that 1x is crazy. Those extra 5 points could be so crucial. Unfortunately, going off the track to avoid some issues on that lap 1 might just hinder his championship hopes.
Evan Forsland's into the pit lane. Meanwhile, this is a crucial stop for his championship. 12 laps to go at the end of this one. He'll put the red stripe tyres on and he'll look to make 3 important overtakes to try and win this title from here. Ericsson, meanwhile, is on the back of Holmbom nearly already. I think Forsland has got a better chance of aiming to pass Holmbom at the end of the day than he has to pass Ericsson, to be honest. He might well run off into the sunset with this race lead. And look at the difference between new red stripe tyres and new primary tyres with this amount of fuel on board. 12 to go.
And his stop was half a second quicker than Holmbom. It was half a second slower than Ericsson, though, who's just got the fastest lap of this race and is absolutely on the back of Holmbom. He is flying, so Forsland has a lot of work to do, but I think his hopes now rely on catching Holmbom instead. But the issue is he's got a couple of other drivers. This could be an important move. Oh no, that is not. Sorry, I thought that was Austin, but Austin is going to be the move that he needs to look out for.
Oh, either side of lap traffic. Oh, what's going on here? Holmbom's found himself immediately caught up there with Peter Helmborough, I think, in towards turn 7. He's going to be a bit disappointed about that in the way that he lost the lead, but I think there was a degree of inevitability about that. Cedric Holmbom loses the lead, what will be the lead anyway, to Jesper Ericsson, who might well go on to win his 4th race win of the season, tying most for the season.
That is quite crazy. 6 seconds before the pit stop, a couple of laps later, Ericsson's passed. So what an insane outlap or 2 we saw there from Ericsson. Coming through turns 3 and 4 here, all looking good so far. The MHE Racing driver just a bit slower. Ericsson manages to go wide. I wonder why it was so much slower. Very interesting. Uses that push to pass, gets through, and that's basically race done because he's on the faster tyres to the end of this race. I highly doubt Holmbom is going to be able to hold on to that one. Forsland is now up into 5th place with some pit stops, and he now needs to chase down Holmbom, who's 8 seconds, or really just 7.5 seconds up the road, but he needs to do 3 overtakes while gaining that time.
Oh, it's difficult. I don't think there's going to be too much of a worry about catching Holmbom. It's about catching Bohlin and Osland and passing them, which is going to be the real key for Forsland. If his race pace on these red stripe tyres is as good as the primaries, he's in with a decent chance. As Dan Holmer gets down the inside of Robert Ericsson, meanwhile, he's up to 6th place. What a great second race this has been from Dan Holmer, who couldn't get a top 10 in race 1. Now, all of a sudden, he's back in the top 6 again, and it looks like he will stay there for the moment, although he'll have to keep a few more drivers behind him. Mikkel Sundström will be next up as he looks to pass Robert Ericsson here. Sundström should find himself down to the inside and should find himself through here on the inside line, and certainly does. So that's another position for the Red Bull Ring pole sitter, and of course part of the winning team. Something we regretted to or failed to mention earlier on was that Nearly on Pace will pass Simray Sweden Pro with Lindhoff and Oscar Fredriksson missing. They won't score enough points to win the team's championship. Instead, it will be Nearly on Pace with Oliver Hagström, Vigazoo, Alvin Manson and Mikko Sundström who will take the team's title.
An 11.3 for Forsen. He is coming. That's 2 seconds quicker than Holmbom on that previous lap. He's using the pace on those sticker reds. He's got some time to gain, and he's got the car to be able to do that. That's an extra point as well for what it's worth. So hopefully he can hold on to that one. I mean, that is massively quicker. No one else is really into the 11s apart from Bohlin, but he's faster than that. And now this is the battle for third place. This is Bohlin and Bohlin. They're slowing each other down, and Forsen is coming behind.
He's got a chance here, Edwin Forsen. He's absolutely got a chance, especially with the battle that's going on here. Bohlin down the inside of Bohlin. He's quite deep though. Oh, he just about pulled it up in time. There is Bohlin, or Forsen, I should say, on the bottom right of his screen. He can see ahead of him exactly what he needs to do to win the driver's title this season. Out of the corner, push to pass, button pressed on the way towards turn 1. He's going to have the slipstream though, Bohlin, and that could be a problem for Forsen, who slowly creeps out to the right-hand side there. Oh, as if to tentatively make the move. Oh, very wide from a lap car, and they get right in the way of Bohlin. Here goes Edwin Forsen, he's into 4th place.
Perfectly positioned there. He put his nose down the inside, forced Bohlin to go deep, but unfortunately Harder was in the wrong place at the wrong time for Bohlin, and that is a move for Forsen. He's just got Bohlin to do, and then he's got 3 seconds to catch for the championship.
This is absolutely on with 8 laps to go at the line. Forsen's having another look. Oh, careful. That can't be afforded. A incident, I should say, can't really be afforded in terms of penalties. He absolutely needs to avoid that here. With Holmbom really at sea, it's looking like this could be the pass for the championship for Edwin Forsen, as he has a look to the inside into the turn 12 braking zone. Can't do it for the moment. There's a long, long way to go here.
And remember, Bohlin is trying to get past Vigazhu in the championship, which he probably will do with how Vigazhu is defending going through this race. So let's see. Bohlin is not going to be fighting this one as hard as it seems, because it looks like the push to pass there is going to put Forsen potentially in championship position. Now he is the lead car of this strategy. Bohlin isn't giving it up though. He's going back into the slipstream. He's going to try and fight it, but let's see what Forsen could do. He's got to catch and pass his teammate Holmbom for the championship.
Bohlin, of course, has real skin in the game here, because if he finishes third, he will be third in the championship as well. Even though his time points will over Hagström Vigazhu, he would be third in the championship with Robin Bohlin. So he has real skin in the game here to stay with Forsen and try and get back ahead of him. Now, just over 3 seconds to catch. We're just under 8 laps to go. Forsen with a big slide through turn 7. You can tell he's pushing. He's not leaving anything to chance. And don't forget, those primary tyres are only going to get better in relation to Cedric Holmbom and Edwin Forsen over the course of this race. Forsen only caught by 4/10 of a second on that last lap.
Oh, this is getting very tense indeed. We're going to have, what's that, 7 laps remaining, and he needs to, that's basically half a second a lap, isn't it, that he needs to do on average, plus getting the overtake. He should have that speed, to be honest, but it just depends if he's going to over push the tyres. There it is, the white car in the foreground versus the white car in the background of the shop. It's the 10 versus the 27. Ironically, it's teammates as well, holding on to each other for championship wise. We've got their other sister team of Ericsson leading the race, and another one, Lindorf, sat at home watching this if he has enough points for the championship. Simrace Sweden have really dominated this championship as such, although they're not going to win the constructors in the end. But let's see what Forsen can do.
Yeah, Lindorf's not sat at home apparently. He's in Malaysia.
Oh, lovely.
So he's probably asleep, to be honest, knowing what time it is in Malaysia at the moment. I'd imagine if he's not asleep, then he'll be very tired because it's very early in the morning. So there you go. But 2.5 seconds is all his championship is riding on at the moment. 6 laps to go when they get to the line. This gap is not coming down dramatically quickly. 0.8 of a second last time round, and that is only going to get smaller each time round. It's going to teeter on 2 seconds as they get to the line here. There's lap traffic involved as well now, by the way, because there's only 13 cars on the lead lap round here, and 3 more who are very close to going 1 lap down.
This is getting close. I mean, the speed is there. That was 0.9 of a second a lap for Forsen. And actually, is this Holmbom actually getting unlapped by, I thought he was overtaking one of the nearly on pace cars, but he's actually getting unlapped, I think, there. So that is really not ideal. He would have lost some time. I think that is Sundström in the 899. So this is, I think, going to be almost game, set and match if he can get in towards the slipstream. It's 1.5 seconds almost.
It is Sundström who's getting it back ahead of him again. Sundström's down in 14th place at the moment, but he is quicker than Holmbohm. That's why he felt the right to get down the inside there and pass him for position, or track position, I should say. So Holmbohm has lost a bit of time in that. Last time around was, 9 tenths behind Forsund on the road, so another bit of time lost. This is the championship. In case you're just joining us, Edvin Forsund needs to finish in second place tonight in this second race to take the title from Henrik Lindhoff. If he was able to do that, he'd win by just 3 points. As things stand, Henrik Lindhoff is winning by just 2 points. It's a remarkably close end to this season with 5 laps to go.
And remember, the 0x opportunity is gone for Forsund. Getting that 1x on the opening lap means third place with the 0x is not enough. That is why he needs this one final place, and it is down to these final 4 laps. And it's going to be so tight indeed. There's just 16 kilometers really to have his say in this championship hopes. He's got Ostland really not to worry about in the background. He hasn't been able to hold on, but are these red tyres going to hold on long enough? He's been pushing hard, setting basically the fastest laps of the stint every single lap. He's pushing to catch his teammate, but even if he gets ahead, will he have enough tyre to hold on in the final few laps?
And put yourself in the situation of Cedric Holmbohm here for a second as well, because he was leading this race for quite some time. And obviously it doesn't look like he's going to win this race anymore, but he is a teammate to both Edvin Forsund and Henrik Lindhoff, who are the Sim Race Sweden drivers competing for this title. You don't really want to be involved, especially if you're a teammate. You don't want to be involved at all, but he's got no choice here other than to hang on to second place and see Lindhoff win, or let it go and have Forsland win the title. Forsland is closing in massively here, in towards turn 1 with 4 laps to go. Holmbohm, it looks like he might be giving this one up. He breaks a bit earlier, and Edvin Forsland makes his way through on the inside line. He is now in championship winning position with just 4 laps to go in the season.
So he needs to hold on, A, from his teammate coming back at him, and then B, from Austin coming in behind. Hold on to your tyres, and the championship will be coming the way of the 27. He also needs to not make a mistake and spin. We already saw him having a few wiggles as he pushes for this championship. The race lead is absolutely gone, but second should be enough.
Oh, off in front of him, Mikko Sundström. That is not ideal at all. Sundström's all over the place in front of him here. Oh, he dives out the way rather dramatically, but rightfully so as well, because Edvin Forsund can't really afford to be losing time. The big worry would have been there if Holmbohm and Forsund had fought. Ostland would suddenly be involved, and then it's a whole different ballgame when there's 3 of you fighting for second place like that. But with such an easy and quick pass, Forsund now is putting distance between himself and Ostland that might not come back again now.
And remember, Holmbohm is the youngest driver in the championship. That's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You can see why he did want to fight crazy hard, but also at the same time, he didn't make it completely easy there. But as we're in the background, is Austin having a look to try and get potentially third place, which would be important for his championship hopes as well, getting those extra points compared to Vigaju.
Certainly is. So that will continue on in the background, and there's a lot of smoke going on through there. What the hell's going on there? Not really sure, but anyway, Holmbohm defends from Rosland. Here he goes on the outside line. Austin needs this third, don't forget, for third in the championship. Here he goes round the outside with 3 to go. Oh, contact! Door to door between the two, or side to side, I should say, and Holmbohm hangs on this time round. He is a lot more defensive, as you would expect, over a non-teammate, and Robin Austin might still be able to work his way through anyway. Inside line of turn 11, and it looks like he will be back onto the podium again, just about, and more crucially, back into third in this championship.
Oh, that is aggressive driving from the 10 machine to try and hold on to that. But it looks like it might be fourth place as long as he doesn't let Bohlin catch up. The top 5 are so far ahead of the mid-pack as well. It's really been rapid pace, intense fighting up ahead. Austin defends in the background as well as he tries to hold on to this position, which, as you said, would make him third in the championship. So that's some big moves from Forsen and Ostland. And out of everything, it was the number 10 of Holmbaum who had the power in the championship, but he couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah, we'll see, by the way, whether Ostland gets that third or not, but we will update you, obviously, later on that. And if we need to, next week, of course, in the next round of the Oval Series, which will be coming to you from Charlotte, as Jesper Eriksson makes his way into the final sector for the penultimate time of this race. But maybe a season of what could have been for him. He would have felt like that at the end of last season, I would imagine, as well. But for different reasons, 4 wins it looks like it's going to be at the end of this season for Jesper Eriksson. And a big hope next season that finally he is going to be on top of the championship for good, because he's certainly got the speed. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, and if you remember, actually last season was Marcus Beifeld who won the F4s. So it's actually been a couple of seasons in the road course since 1 year ago, where we had the another F4, different F4 season, that he was the champion. So there's now 2 seasons in a row. He's not going to win, but he is definitely showing his speed, and he's just got a couple more corners to go to take another victory. It'll be 4 for the season for the number 37.
And thoroughly deserved as well. He is being caught slightly by Edvin Forsund, not on the last lap, but most of the ones before. Not that that really matters at this stage. However, it's just a show of just how quick these two are. Forsund has actually taken his fastest lap away as well by 0.08 of a second, about 3/4 of a tenth of a second. As Forsund, so he'll gain that extra point as well. But importantly for Jesper Eriksson, it's going to be closing out another great victory. Starting out his season, of course, with his absence, which really set him back throughout, but he got off to a bang at Silverstone. It's been difficult since then, but a double race win at Indianapolis to end off for Jesper Eriksson, who wins here in the Indy Series again. But behind, Edvin Forsund comes round the final corner, and he is a Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series champion here in 2024. Look at the emotion for him. A huge drive through the field for him to come against the odds and get this victory here at Indianapolis by just 3 points in the end.
And boy, did he have to work for it, both in that first race and now in the second race, coming through for 19th on the grid and able to get through all that carnage. He had a bit of a bad start. Eriksson was 7 places ahead of him at one point, but in the end, just a 6-second gap. He was able to work his way through. He did amazing strategy, and ultimately, to be honest, he was the fastest car on the field today. He had the long run pace and was able to make the moves where he needed. Austin had that pace of him in the first stint, but when we got onto the alternate tyres at the end, it was Forsund who came strong.
And how strong was he as well? And by the way, we believe it to be the closest winning margin in a road series here at the Svenska Eracingligan ever. It's a remarkable season end here as Edvin Forsund got that crucial second position. If he'd have finished any lower, he would not have taken the title away from Henrik Lindhoff, who has led for quite some time in this season now. What a performance from Edvin Forsund. Thoroughly deserves this championship with that performance here at Indianapolis here this evening. What a fantastic way to end the Indy Series this season. It's Jesper Eriksson who takes another race win ahead of our champion, Edvin Forsund. Robin Ostland's on the podium and might be in with a shout at the top 3 in the championship. We'll update you on that. Cedric Holmbaum and Oliver Bohlin round out the top 5, with Dan Holber having a much better second race, finishing 6th ahead of Andre Salander. Robert Eriksson, Jokfrist and Marcus Stiller round out the top 10. Behind, there was quite a lot of destruction, really. Christopher Dahlström was 1 lap down, along with Björn Broström, Mikko Sundström, Marcus Hagman, Philip Hahn and Sammy Jonsu. Jonas Sjöberg was 2 laps down, with Tony Ivnen and Emil Reinbach. Pontus Wedstedt rounded out the top 20. 6 laps down with Peter Helbro, with those out of the race as well, including Hackenshaw, Oliver Hagström-Viggesjö, Albin Manson, Alexander Olsen and Oscar Motin. With the 2 nearly on pace drivers, by the way, outside the top 20 and DNFing, it's looking far more difficult for them to win the Teams Championship, and it looks like Sim Race Sweden Pro might hold on to take that. Again, we'll update you on that. Let's first of all talk to our champion, Edvin Forsund, who finishes second place in race 2 tonight. More importantly, takes the title by 3 points. Congratulations, Edvin. Tell us how you're feeling after that race.
I don't know what to say. This evening has been a roller coaster of emotions. Like that first race when I qualified second, I felt that I could have gotten pole, but I just didn't get my lap together, so I missed out on the pole position points. Then obviously, I accidentally pressed the pit limiter button when I was side by side with Oliver there, so I lost quite a lot of time. And but then I managed to get Oliver back when his tires started to die, and I just didn't get any incident points. And I thought, okay, this is a good start. Then the second race comes, and on the first lap already, I get a 4x for just a netcode, like Ghost Touch, pretty much. And I was like, yeah, well, that's it. It's over. And then I saw the gap to the leaders, and P2 and that, and I was like, yep, there's no way. But then I just felt, whatever, let's just go for it. See what happens, and just started pushing like crazy, and I managed to catch back up. I think I did. I think I could have done a little bit better pit strategy, but I wanted as fresh tires as possible towards the end. So, and I managed to get it. So, and I pushed for that fastest lap to make sure I had those points as well, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. So you managed to get 3 more than Lindhoff, by the way, which we believe to be the closest winning margin of any road series we've ever had. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling here at this circuit, because you seem to be one of the quickest drivers on the circuit at a lot of points tonight. Is there something about Indianapolis you liked particularly?
No, just great pedals from Moser Racing, and having a strong team behind you that believes in you, and it's always welcoming and putting the time in. And just going for it.
And tell us finally, just at what stage did you finally believe that you were going to be champion here tonight?
Once I got past Oliver, and then when I got past Robin and I saw Cedric in front of me, I wasn't sure, but I was pretty confident that I would close that gap down. And then when I got past him, I was still worried that Robin would get through, because I only had like 5 seconds of push to pass left, and I didn't know how many seconds he had, obviously. So I was a little bit, is he going to be able to get me because he has more push to pass? Or but then when Cedric managed to defend from him and I got that 3-second gap, that's when I pretty much realized that as long as I don't do something stupid here now, the championship's mine.
Well, congratulations on winning the title, Evan. It's great to see your emotion at the end of the season, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well at the end of the race. Yeah,
I just want to say once again, real quick, thank you to my team, and I love all of them.
Thank you very much. Edvin Forsund there, our champion for season 2024 here in the Indy series in the Svenska Eracingligan for 2024. Let's bring in Jesper Eriksson as well, who's got on a double race win here tonight, which hasn't been done very often this season. Congratulations on that, Jesper. How did you feel around here at Indianapolis tonight?
It felt good. It felt really good to end on this season on this high too, and for what have been such a shitty season for me, I'm happy. And of course, congrats to Edvin for taking the whole championship home. Truly awesome for the whole team, to be honest.
You've been close so many times in this championship, in the road series. A little bit less close this time, but how do you feel at the end of the season, knowing that you had the speed to win 4 races, but of course nowhere near the championship this time round?
Oh, of course it's a big bummer, but I was prepared for it because there's so much else going on at the moment. So, but of course it's a bummer. of course, if you have the pace, you always want to win it, and done it once before, so want to take the crown again, but not this time.
And hopefully we'll get to see you next season again, firing strong in the Road Series. Congratulations on your double win tonight, Jesper, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks very much. Jesper Eriksson there, the winner of both races tonight. Cam, that was a fantastic end to the season. Edvin Forsund is our champion, gaining 17 places on that final race of the season to finish in second place in the end and win the title by just 3 points, which we believe to be the smallest winning margin we've ever had in the Road Series.
Yeah, that was quite something, and I love how it came to a crescendo there. It wasn't one of those silly accidents taking Forsund out on lap 1. He almost got involved in a couple of crashes, though. He was able to avoid that very, very well, and was able then to use his pace. So I'm so glad that we were able to have a fight on the track all the way to the end. Of course, Lindhoff not being here tonight, bit of a shame, but it did give us that crazy finish to the championship.
Absolutely, and what a great finish to the championship it has been. Let's just preview next season just quickly before we go as well, Cam. We were told before this broadcast, and indeed I think we're allowed to say it. I'm about to. So, but we'll be going racing in a very different type of car this time around. The BMW M2 in the other side of Christmas will be going for the Road Series. So very, very different to IndyCar racing, to sports car racing.
Yeah, and what I love about that is it's a brand new car. Of course, it literally just came out a couple of days ago. So no one really knows what is going to happen. We're expecting that to start about February or so. So they've got about 6 weeks or so to get it up to speed in that car. We're going to be going racing at the Nordschleife as well as part of that. So I'm definitely looking forward to how that season is going to go. 3 races per evening, so plenty of action.
These are the final standings provisionally before any stewards' decisions come through, but we believe this will be how it ends up at the end. Edvin Forsund is our champion here in the Svenska Eracingligan Indy Series by just 3 points ahead of Henrik Lindhoff. Robin Östlund did get ahead of Oliver Hagström-Vigersjö in the end by 11 points with that great podium on the last race. Jesper Eriksson with that double win gets into the top 5 ahead of Dan Holmer. Albin Manson drops out of the top 5 with Mikael Sundström ending 8th ahead of Oliver Bohlin and Jock Frisk, your top 10 for the season. A big thanks to everyone who's been joining us throughout the season. It's been a pleasure to bring you this Indy Series through 13 rounds of great action. I've been doing O'Leary alongside Cam Roger, and Hugo Louise has been behind the cameras. We'll be back next week for the next round of the Svenska Eracingligan Oval Series as we go racing one last time in 2024 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Very much hope you can join us then. Goodbye for now.